Yes. So last week, I've already explained this. I covered how to, get Java installed, for us to run, Spark. We need this particular line of code, within the Google Colab environment. And I also explained how to download Spark, how to unzip the file. You download it from here in a zip format, unzip the file, then install Find Spark, then get the environment, fixed here. And from there, you can use findspark.init. And then this one, I told you can do it manually by going to the file here and go to the file here and import the file instead of using this. If you want to use this one, that's fine. It's good. But if you don't want, you can do that manually by uploading the file from there. Now we move down to from PySpark, the SQL import Spark section, which is the module that will help you to run Spark here. And this Spark section is here, Spark section. And within this Spark section, you can have access to this library module builder.app name. Then use any name that you want. If you like, use your name as the app name, .get or create. And from there, you can use the Spark. This is a variable name, so you can decide to say spark.som if you like. But when you are using this one as spark.som, you have to change this one to spark.som. So here we are using Spark as a variable name. Spark equals to Spark session list. Then we want to read a data frame. We want to read our data. So from there, you can do spark.read.format. I saw on the WhatsApp platform, some other people, they used another method to read the file, which is good. It doesn't matter. The most important thing is you are reading the file. But in this case, I'm specifying the format that I'm expecting. Option header equals to true. And the header equals to true is to help you capture the columns. Then the CSV file itself, you load it. Some people use spark.read.load, which is good, like I said. Then I explained that you can count the rows within the data. And here in this case, we have 323 rows. We can check it if it's correct. Just for you, let me check if I have the file here on the quick CSV so that we can confirm if what we have is accurate. So here, the data here is from here. Let's click on this. Can you see 324 rows, isn't it? 324 rows. After clicking on the CSV file, if you see, you can click anywhere here on top. It will tell you the rows. You count 324 rows. And it's saying, so from there you will see it's 323 without including the column header. That's the meaning. So that's the meaning of counting. It's counting them row by row. Row 1, row 2. So, but in this case, we are including column as row 1. But we are in the data, while we are reading data, is excluding this part because it's not a row, it's a column. So we count this one as row 1, row 2, like that. So that's the idea. And you can see print schema shows the column name, column names, then middle age and stuff that we have within the data. In this one, I'll be explaining later. I don't want to, load your brain because we are not going to be starting the Spark section now. We're going to be focusing on the Python aspect of the work. So when we get to this area, then I will buttress on how to, how to deal with these aspects. So today I'll be introducing you to, Python itself. Now, why do we need Python? It helps you for, to improve the efficiency when you are using Spark. And at the same time, you can please, as much as possible, can we try to mute ourselves so that we'll try to avoid noise. Thank you. So now, today, I'll be focusing on, introducing you to Python. For those that are not familiar with Python, and they're trying to, understand what Python is, like, oh, what's Python? Is it a big snake or whatever? I don't know. How do we use this snake on this platform? Sorry, I'm just trying to be, you know, but in this case, a Python helps you to transform your data. Python can be used in different forms. You know, this is data that we're covering. We have people that work in back end. They do, you know, some other tasks. They use Python to do that. You know, even web development. So you front end development on the website and stuff. They use it to integrate data on website. So, but in this case, we are dealing with the data itself. So we're using Python for the, you know, for the transformation of data. So for us to transform data, we actually need to understand the basic, you know, basic things about Python. And I'll be covering that this afternoon. I will try as much as possible to manage the time that we have because we have just few weeks, but I will squeeze everything that I need to cover within that, you know, time frame. Now, we have data structure. So I'll be introducing you to data structure. 1 second. So we need to understand what is data structure itself. So we need to understand what data is, how is it structured and stuff. So I will try as much as possible to explain just few things around it using the slide. You know, some of you, you have experience in computer science. Some are very good in mathematics. It doesn't matter where you're coming from, but with the basic, you know, basic aspect of Python that we're covering, you should be able to, you know, pick up. I will try as much as possible to explain and, you know, do it and as in explain it in the simplest, you know, way. So in computer science, a data structure is a data organization, management and storage format that enables efficient access and modification. So we have, you know, 4 built-in data structures, and they are: 1, list. We have another one called tuple, and we have another one called dictionary. Then we have sets. Like I said, I'm trying to ensure that I manage the time so that we can cover a lot. So like I said, we have lists. So data structure here, under our data structure, we have lists. We have tuple, and I will explain everything one after the other. I will give an example, dictionary. Then we have sets. So we have this. So we have list, tuple, dictionary, and sets. So I'll do comma, 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 comma. So in this so I'll be explaining it one by one. So for list, a list is an object that holds a collection of objects. So it represents a sequence of data, and I will explain that in a very simple way. For example, we have 0. We have, let's say, I'll use lists, or just use list can be in form of, let me say, 0. When it comes to list, there is a way it appears. Let's say, for example, we have 0, we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, we have 5, we have 6. This is a list. And we have elements in that list. If we count this, we know the number of elements here. Elements is the number, what we have here in the objects. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have how many elements in this list? We have 7 elements. And what makes it a list? What makes it a list is what we have here. Can you see the sign?
Yep.
the bracket here that we have in.
Yes.
The square bracket. That's what makes it a list. So here, if I want to define this list now, I can say, I'm coming. I can say list, let's say list 1 equals to this. So this is the first element on the list. The first element on the list is 0, yeah. So 1 second. First element on this list is 0. And the second element on the list, I'll copy and paste just to save us time. Second element on the list is 1. So I would try to modify this one. Let's say this is 1, can be any number. 3 minus 2, minus 1 minus 2. Oh, okay, 2, yeah, that's fine. 4, let's say this one is 0, and this one is 5. Now, if you see this, I've changed what we have there, the values. Now, in this case, the first element is what?
1.
1.
1.
Brilliant. The second one is what? 3.
3.
Good. Now, there is something very interesting about when it comes to Python, when we want to read as in select elements in this list. There is something called index. Index. And when it comes to index starts from 0, 1, then up to n minus 1. So 1 second. So we have index starts from 0, 1. The dot means like 2, 3, 4, 5, then up to n minus 1. N minus 1 is, it means the last value. For example, now I will explain and you will get it clearly. It can be a bit tricky, but you will understand it. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if this is 9, that means it's going to be 10 minus 1 to make it 9. I will explain better, you will understand it. Now, you know, when I was talking about elements, I said the first element on this list is 1. So in this case now, in a layman's way, if I want to grab the first element on this list now, that means it's going to be 0, the first one, when it comes to index. Am I making sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's say, for example, we want to grab a list, lists, and we want to grab the first element in that list. We want to grab 0. Let me see. So this is 0 now. Oh, this is come 1 second. So code 0. If I run this, oh, sorry, I didn't run everything. So let me run this. Then I can run the, oops. Okay. So can you see the elements on the first element on the list, which I need to use index 0, is what? 1. Now, if I want to choose the second element on this list, I'm going to use index 1. Let's run it. Can you see it's 3? If I want to choose the third element on this list, it's going to be index what? 2. Remember the last value, third element, that's 3 minus 1. Index, if its first element is going to be 1 minus 1, which is 0. Second element is going to be, if you use this last one, it's going to be 2 minus 1, which is what? 1, which is going to give us 3. Then the third element, which is minus 1, is in third position, right? So it's going to be 3, third position minus 1 is going to be 2, and that's what we're putting 2 here. If we run this one, it's going to give us minus 1. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Brilliant. So now that is the element. So the index, like I've explained now, the element at index 0 is what? 1. The element at index 1 is what? 3. The element at index 2 is what?
-1.
-1. The element at index 3 is what?
2.
2. Element at index 4 is what? 4.
4.
Element at index 5 is what? 0. Element at index 6 equals to what? And we can try it at index 6. Let's run it again. So it's going to give us 5.
5.
So the idea is checking the position of the element, subtract 1 from it, and that will give you the value of index that you need to use. So when you are reading elements in a list, you want to read the first one, you use 0 to read the first one. It doesn't start from 1. That's rule number 1. Now,
Please, I got a question.
okay.
Please, the space bars before the 0 and before the 5, it doesn't make any difference?
It doesn't make difference because you've already added comma.
Okay, okay.
So I can decide to do it, doesn't matter. There's a comma there, so it's okay. So if I want to list everything in the lists, it will still give me this. So now, I've explained that, and I've explained the positioning and how to get the element in the list. And I've explained just one way of getting that. We have something called a negative way, negative offsets. Should I say negative list index? You can also, let's say the other one is positive, and this other one is a reverse of that, which is negative. For example, I've already explained that you can start from 0, 1, this, but we can use negative list index also. And that requires you to now read data backward from the last one to the first one. And there is a way you can go about that. Now let's start. For the negative one, I want to do, sorry, I don't want you to copy. Please try and avoid copying code. It's very important because it will help you to understand, how if you make a mistake, you can correct yourself. So now for negative one, it starts from -1, -2 from the back, -3, -4 at the back, index. I'm talking about index right now. So the index is -1 is going to be, when you're reading that, it's going to be, let's say I'm starting from -1, coming, -2. Are you getting that? -3. So we're going to be -4. And it's going to be, oops, sorry. We have -5. Let's say this is an example. So in this case, it's going to be -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7. So I'm going to have -7, -6. So this is it. So in this case now, let's say we want to grab the first element here. We're going to use -7 there. And let's see.
The comma is left out after 6, -6.
Oh, thank you. No, okay. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So now, let's run this. You see, it's going to give us 1. It's still the same 1. When we're using the negative list index, so we want to grab this -7 one, index -7, and it's going to give us the first element. Index -6 is going to give us 3. Index this -065 is going to give us -1. Then like that, let's try the last one, which is -1, which is 5. So let's put -1 here. And we're going to get the 5. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Any question?
Can we run more than one element at the same time?
More than one element. I didn't get you.
Oh, right.
I've already showed you when I said list. This is the whole element.
So, yeah, sorry, maybe the way I put the question. So, you know, when we just go -1 now, so can we just dictate -1 and 2 at the same time?
Oh, yeah, we can
Yeah.
do that. Yeah, we can do that. If you want to discover -1 and 2, you can do that. And I'll be explaining that in the next step. So I will explain that in a few minutes. So now, already we know how to deal with this now. So that brings me to another part of this list, which is called slicing. It's very, very important. This slicing is very, very important when it comes to data engineering work. Very, very, very important. And I'll buttress on it again. Very, very, very important. When you are reading files, when you want to extract data and stuff, so you use more of slicing in that. You can slice the list. So in slicing, there is something called, begin, end, and step. So when you want to slice, you have something called begin, like you said, index, and that's what I want to explain now. So end, and we have step. So we have begin, end, and step. Begin, end. So the begin is what index do you want to start with? Where do you want it to end? And what step, what do you want to skip? Am I making sense?
Yes, sir.
So is an, you choose an integer to represent your starting index. So for this one, where do I want to start? Which index do I want to use for beginning? So in this case, we have, if we are using positive index 0, 1, 2. Do I want to start with index 0? Then up to, in this case, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do I want to stop at index 5? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Index 5. Why I stop at index 5? Then I have step. Do I want to skip maybe one out of, as in why I'm selecting the elements? That is the idea about slicing. So it helps you to skip. You can use begin and end. You can use step. So so it can help you to pick, series of elements within the list. So for example, let me go here. We have 1, 2, 1, 3, this. In the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 6. So if I want to use from start to end now, in my case, I can do list underscore wonders. So I can decide to do index 0 to index 6. Let's say index 5. Let's see what is going to happen. So if I use index 5, index 0 to 5, that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me use 6. Let me use 6. Let's see what is going to happen. You will see that it will not pick the last one, but we're going to read from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's trying to tell you that when you are using slicing, it's going to pick the first index, but it's going to skip the last index that you specify as end. Remember the rule? Remember the rule, begin and end. So we're using begin and end here. So if I want to begin, I start with the first the index that I'm selecting, which is index 0. If I put index 1 here, you see it's going to skip 1. It's going to go with 3, and it's going to stop at 0, which is our elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 6th element. Am I making sense? So now, I think I've answered your question. Have I?
Yes, you have, sir.
Brilliant. Thank you. So if I put 7 now, it's going to grab all the elements. And instead of doing this, I can decide to just do lists. I'm going to grab everything. So if I want to just add that one, I can add this. It's still going to do the same thing. So in terms of step now, I've already explained begin and end. I'm going to explain step. So step helps you to skip. It's just like you're climbing staircase. You can skip a part of the step and go to the next one. Or you can jump 3, you can jump 4. So it takes you to the next one. So in this case, let's say we want to skip 2. That means 2. Let's run it. You see the result. That means what it's doing is that it's going through this, it's grabbing 1, is skipping 2 out of it, is going for 2, and is skipping this, and is going for... Yes. Sorry?
Okay, I wasn't even doing like this.
Now, so you will see here, we are using step now. In the step, we have 3. Don't forget we are referring to this. We're still going back to what we have here, so that we can remember. We are referring to this so that we understand what's happening. So here is skipping. If I run this step 0, in this case, step 1, which is 3. And if it's going to be 3, what is going to happen? It's going to skip 1. Skip this, go for 2. Then after getting to 2, skip this, go for 0. And the last part we're interested in, you remember we are grabbing all the elements in the list, which is 7. So it's going to go for 0, the last one. So there's nothing to skip again. So if I decide to put 1, it's going to grab all of them. If I put 3, yeah, it's going to skip 3. So it's going to go for, it's going to skip these 2 and go for 2. Sorry, let me put 0 here. Let me say I'm starting from 0. It's going to grab this, skip this, and go for the other one. So let's see. Oh, sorry, I didn't change it from the beginning. Sorry. From here. 1, 3 minus 1, 2, 4. Oh, yeah, it's correct. Sorry. So it's correct. So 0 here. So it's going to start from the 1, and it's going to skip 1, 2. When it skips this 2, so it starts from, after picking this 1, 1, 2, 3. It's going to pick what? 2. Then it goes back. That's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It's going to pick 5. So it's skipping 3 steps, if you remember. So that's the idea about begin, end, step. So if I decide to put 4 here, you will see what's going to happen. It's going to skip. It's going to grab 1. It's going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. And after it, there is nothing to pick because it's 4 steps. So it's going to pick 1 and 4. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Yes,
So
sir.
that's slicing, and I've shown you, and it's very, very important when it comes to data engineering. One second. Let me give just one example here. For example, let's say we have file underscore name equals to SOM data 1, 2, 3. One, two. Let's say this is a file name. You understand where I'm going now? So this is a file name. If I run this file name now, you know, if I can come with this like data123.csv. Let's say .csv. This is a file name. Now, if I do print file, This is the file. Now, if I do oops. Okay. So now, if you look at this file, if you see, I'm splitting this file. I'm using .split is a Python. Please, I'm trying to explain as much as to I'm doing like a practical application of what we're doing so that you can understand what is happening. So if you see, this is a file name. Let's say this is your CSV file, and you're reading the file name, and you need to grab something from this file. You're reading the file, you run it, and you're printing the file, and the file, you can decide to, let me go to the next stage. I can decide to do, I just select. This is just variable name, please. It's just a name. Select file name. So I can do file name dot split, call it splits. So it's a function in Python. So it helps you to split file. So if I run this one now, I can grab my select file name here. Oops, sorry. And if I do this, the file will be splitted. So in this case, maybe I want to decide to grab the first index. And what's the first index, first element? What's the first element here? How do I choose the first element?
0.
Brilliant. So I can decide to do 0 here. When I run this, check what is going to happen. What did you see? So I've been able to grab SOM from that file that I splitted. So now let's go down here. So the file name selects underscore file name itself. If we run it, print, let's put print on around it. We will see that it's actually a list. Remember, I said what makes a list different is what? The what?
Square bracket.
Square bracket, thank you. And don't forget, this is a string. In this case, we have a number. In this case, it's a string. That's where you have inverted comma here around it. So we have 2 elements in this list. You can see the comma, we only have one comma, first element, second element. For us to grab the first element, we are going to use index what? 0. Index 0 is going to help us to grab SOM. If we want to grab this second one, we can use index. Index what? Index 1. Let's run it. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Brilliant. And you know, in data engineering also, you can decide to, maybe you are not even interested in what should I call it? You are not interested in this. Let's say, for example, we're not interested in index 0. We can decide to choose index 1 and split index 1 further and do splits. And how do you want to split it? We can split by dots, where we want to split across here. Please, I'm not making it complicated. I'm just trying to explain why do we need to use index? Why is element very, very important? So when you do that and you split, what do you see? You see it's going to be splitted by what? Dot here. And this is another element. Sorry, this is another element, new element. So I can decide in this element, choose index what? In this case, what is the position of CSV? Index what?
Index
Index what?
2.
Index 2.
Who said 2?
1. I said it, sir.
It's 1.
Index 1.
It's index 1. If you see,
one,
I decided.
zero, one.
Data is 0.
Brilliant. So index what? 1. Let's put 1.
Index 1, yeah.
Brilliant. So now you see CSV file. Does that make sense now? So
Yeah.
you see how this is applicable when it comes to data transformation. You know, it helps you to grab the file name. In this case, you can grab a file name and you can use it, you know, as a new column in your data, just to identify that particular data. And that is why it's very, very important to understand how to apply in a list, how to use slicing in the list, how to use all this split. But, you know, but just if you want to investigate further to understand what split is, please, you can do that after the class. And you can also try it on your own on the Google Colab, and you see how it works.
I have a
Dorcas,
question.
yes.
We split it by the dots this time. Can we split by the colon as well?
Oh yeah, we can split by column. If you want me to
Brilliant.
take it further to split by column, I can now decide to use, if you use
Sir,
column.
sorry, sir. That's what I wanted to say. Instead of editing the one you've done, can you just keep doing several ones so that we know we have several examples to play with?
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah,
So,
thank you, sir.
okay, so if I understand what you just said, I should start from here and split by column. So let me go here and I will clear this off, or let me comment it out. Now, if we run this code, I'm going to split by column now. If I run split by column, let's run this one. What do you see? By column. So splitting here is taking 3.csv here because we are splitting by column. So it's going to split it this way and split this one this way. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
And you know why I'm trying to be very careful to give you, I like the way you ask splitting by column, which is good. I'm just trying to use my experience based on what you target in the file. I don't know if you're making sense. So what you target in the file, it might be even this column that you said I should split by, that is what you need. Most in the data, sometimes we grab the dates that we have in the file. We want to grab the file type. You understand? We want to grab the name. That's what we do in the file. So that's why you see when I was splitting, I tried to target dots, and I also decided to target underscore. Does that make sense? And now,
Yes.
just to go further to that slicing that I talked about, because I've not really emphasized on slicing here. Let's say we want to split this file by okay, let's say we want to split this file by, I'm coming 1 second. So we want to split by dots. We split by dots. And what do we have in dots? We have this. And I'm going to grab the first element in that list, which is 0. Dots, which is this. I can decide to do another 0. And what do you see? X. So now let's say I want to remove this. I want to grab more than X, or I want to grab this 12.3 here. So it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then going to be 8. So I'm going to put this one as 8, 9, 10, 11. So let me put 11 here. What do you see? Okay, 11. Let me put 12. I think it's 12. What do you see? I can grab this thing that looks like a time from this particular data. What did you see here? Is this not slicing? Is it complex?
No, it makes sense.
It makes sense. Remember,
It's
if I take this
becoming
off,
complex, sir.
it shouldn't be complex anymore, because if I go down, wait, I will break it down one after the other now. Look at this file. This file is this. I will break it down one after the other. Look at this. These two, right? You already know what this means. So if I go down again, this one, if I put 0 at the front, what's the meaning? If I put 0, what is that 0 doing?
Getting the first index.
first index. That's it. After getting the first index, I want to use slicing to grab only 12.3. And I'm going to use slicing there, begin from 8, end at 2. And I'm going to grab this. That's it. Does that make sense?
It's ending at 12, sir, not 2.
At 12, yes. So I'm grabbing 12.3. So which is 0, index 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Remember, 8, it begins with 8. If I want to grab 1, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 is at the back. Remember, it ends with 12 for me to grab these 3. If I want to grab dot only, I'll move 12, I'll put 11 there. And if I run it, it's going to give me only column. It's not going to grab 3. So if I put 12 at the back, I'm going to grab 12.3. And this, you can use it to extract data. You see how you do extraction of data when it comes to data engineering. So, and that is what I'm trying to explain to you.
But now, sorry, you're counting by hand now. You're counting the data you want to extract, the index you want to extract. What if it's a very, very long data? How do you get the index?
Long data, I don't get you.
Okay. For example, you counted 1, 2, 3 to get what you want from it. Must I always want to count that if I'm actually working on the live data itself? Is there no way to automate it and say, okay, how do I want to get the index of where A is without counting?
No. You know, it depends on what you're dealing with. It depends on the data you're dealing with, how the data is structured. Let's say, for example, I have a file that comes like this every time. I have a file. I don't want to go in depth. I think I'm going to make things complicated. I think let's leave it like this. But I have a data that comes like this. Let's say it comes again as file. This. You understand? Maybe I already know the pattern, how it comes. I already know the pattern. So I know that I actually need to grab maybe the number only from the file. So I know the positioning of the number there. So I can extract it. So depending on how, this is just a generic way of explaining. You know, your approach to dealing with data transformation depends on how data is coming. Maybe it requires you to write a conditional statement to grab that particular part of file. You do that. So it depends on how far is coming in. Am I making sense?
I think maybe my question is not, I'm not putting my question well. For example, this file you wrote down now.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it now. How do I want to know what index that number 1 is? What index it is without counting it? Must I always count and say this in this way, this one is index 5 or index 6? How do I know automatically or what?
How do you know automatically?
Yeah.
The file?
Is there a code to write and say, okay,
there is no code to write to identify which of the index.
I must always count it.
Yes, it depends on what you're. That's why I say it depends on what you're doing. For example, in this case now, you can decide to split all the files and check all the elements in the list. It depends on your approach. You know, that's why in data engineering, it requires logical reasoning and thinking. There is no one analog way of doing stuff. Am I making sense? So if the file comes in a different way, you have to think, how are you going to, okay, let's say this file doesn't come with the same, you know, the way we split file. Maybe it comes in 3. Okay, let me give you an example now. You see, in this data, we are splitting by dots. What if we have another dot here? Am I making sense? What if we have another dot? How many elements are we going to have?
3.
3 elements. That's why I say it depends on how your data comes, how the file is structured. You have to think. In this case, you have to think about, okay, the element has changed while you are splitting by, by dots. It means you have to use a conditional statement. So you have to think about, okay, if this file after splitting this file, if it comes with this particular, I will get to that level. I don't want to make, I think you are asking more complex questions based on your knowledge, but some people are here that are actually just starting. But what I will do is that as we get to that stage, you will keep understanding why I'm doing this. Does that make sense?
Okay, thanks, sir.
You're welcome. What's your experience
Just a
in,
quick,
sorry, have you been dealing with data?
Somewhat.
That's what I'm saying. So some people are here because what you're asking is more of a logical reasoning. But you know, we're starting from basic. We want to make sure that people are integrated into this space so that if we keep asking like a more advanced question in the beginning, I think it's going to make some people get scared and they will run away. Even the little one that I'm explaining now, some I guess they will like, what's this? So, but so now the most important thing is understanding how you do slicing, how you use index, how you know, get some elements in the list. So I will continue from there now, from here. So we've covered slicing, like I said. Now, sorry, can you mute yourself, please? Import files, and I can use this in uploading. Now let's go to the next.
sorry, can I ask a quick question?
Okay, quick question. Yeah.
I think it's a bit follow up from what he said. I understood it to be a simple question. Like, you know, in Excel, if you have 1,000 things, you can just highlight and then it tells you the count, like the count number, rather than manually counting yourself.
Okay.
So I think I interpreted this question to mean if you got a long list and you know what you want, but rather than you manually counting 1, 2, 3, 4, you can just maybe highlight and you know, okay, this is the number. I thought that was what his question was.
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe rather than using the length argument, I was using whether there's something else you can use to count.
Yeah.
Like you said, it depends on your approach, and I will still explain some other things when it comes to data. You know, we introducing list now. We have something called you know, for loop. You can look through.
That's next level now. Okay, but
You
yeah,
know,
thank you.
So that's why I'm just, this is the basic aspect, just to gradually as we keep going on, it keeps getting more advanced. Then everybody will be able to catch up. But at this stage, some of the question that I think the other person asked the other time is a bit advanced because of your level of experience when it comes to dealing with data, and I understand where you're coming from. So now, there's something called list. Range. Should I explain that? Okay, let me just give an example, and just one example for list list method. 1 second. So we have list method. Trying to manage the time as much as possible. Okay, so in list method, we have something called count. We have append. You'll be doing more of, when it comes to data engineering, you'll be using more of append. We have reverse. We have sorts. And we also have index. We have insert also. Insert. So let me leave it on this level. So we have count. We have append, reverse, sorts, insert. So I will give an example of how you deal with this when it comes to data. For example, we have our list. The list that we have the other time, list underscore 1, which is this. Oh, sorry, list underscore 1. So in this list, we want to let's say we want to count. Okay, let me just give another example. Let's say list 2. List 2. Our list 2 is let's say orange. Let me just use an example like this. I think I used it last time. Orange, we have apple. Okay. We have let me say banana. Okay. And we have let me just use okay. So if I run this one, I can do list _2 and print the list. So we can see the elements in the list. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 elements in this list. So in this list now, I can decide to count, you know, how many times that we have apple in this list. For example, we have list _2. I'm going to use count now in this case. So we have, can you see? So while you try to type, it will appear. So within Google Colab, you can use count. You can say count there. And here I can decide to say, I want to count the number of apple. How many times apple appears in, you know, here. In this case, how many times? We only have one. One. So let me run this now. You see is 1. So if I decide to put another apple here, let's run it. So this is a string. What makes you to differentiate integer and string? You see, this is the inverted comma. So here we have a new list. So if I run this one, it's going to be what? 2. Can you see that? So that's how to apply your count. So I can, let me do dot count also. Oh, sorry. So that's how to apply your, 1 second, please. Okay, dot count. Let me go back. Dot count. So if we do orange now, in this case, our orange is going to give us 1 because it appears only once. So, and how do I identify index? Okay, did I mention index here? Okay, no. Let me do count, number 1. Then I will do append. Like I mentioned there, I said append. So we've done counts. So you can, for example, in our list, I want to append. Append means you want to add to the list. So you want to add an element to that particular list. That is append. So for example, if I want to append now, let's say I want to append is a Python function. So I want to apply append now. For the append, let's say I want to append mango. When I do that, let's check the list again. List _2. And what do you see? You see mango is appended into the list. So mango is appended into that particular list. Let me check the message that we have here. Okay, that's fine. Now, can you see? So we sorted append. So you can append, you can add, you keep adding to a list using append. Ismail Akiwale, I will attend to you in a few minutes. Let me cover this part, then we'll go back to question time. Then we have reverse. Reverse, like the way it sounds, reverse is like you're starting from the end to the beginning. From the end to the beginning. So in this case, let's say we want to reverse. So this is append. We want to reverse now. In this case, I can do dot reverse. Don't forget, we've already appended this, so it's going to appear there because we've already added this. So let's see what we have in our reverse. So in our reverse now, it's going to turn this as the first one and take orange as the last one. And let's see on list 2, the new list 2. After reversing, let's see what we have. Can you see? Mango as the first one, kiwi as the second one, banana as the third one, apple as the fourth, fifth, sixth. So that's the reverse. That's part of reverse. And we have another thing called sort. Sort can be, you can do sort by, you know, ascending. You can do sort by descending. You can do sort by ascending, descending. So if I want to sort this one out, and remember when you're sorting, is either you sort alphabetically, the way the first, you know, the first alphabets. So for example, now, let me say I want to use sorts. If I sort this one out, it's going to look for the one that is starting with like maybe A, B. Then it follows that trend. And so we can do. So from there, we can do list underscore 2. If I run that, it's going to sort it. Can you see? So it goes by alphabet. Apple starts with A, apple, then the next one is B, then the next one is kiwi, hem, up to O. It follows that A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, O, M, N, O. Can you see? So it will follow that trend and it will arrange it in that format. Then I think there is something, okay, Ismail Akinwale.
Yes, thank you. Thanks so much. My question is just regarding the append. Is there a way you can append whereby you want to state where the position of the elements you're bringing in rather than go to the end? Maybe you want it to be in the middle or at a particular position in the list. Thank you.
No.
Okay.
So that's that. If you want to do that, like I said, it requires another logical thinking. If you decide maybe you want a particular element to be in a position in the list, or you want to extract it there, you can decide to, filter out in that list what you want to grab from that particular list. So we have, okay, Chizoba.
Okay, can we sort in descending order?
You can also do descending order. You can do descending order, but for now, let's just stick to the sorts in this format. Then we explain the descending order later, while we are going through other as in when it's getting more advanced, I will apply all those aspects. So we go to the next one, which is called tuple. And tuple looks like a list, but it's different from list. What makes it different from list is that it is immutable. It is immutable. Immutable in the sense that you can't alter wherever you have when it comes to tuple. You know, what elements that you have there, you can't alter, it can be changed, you can't alter until you convert it from tuple to list, and you can amend, you can append, you can sort, you can reverse, you can delete, you know, within a list. Then you now transform it back to tuple. So it's similar to list. So the only difference between list and tuples is that tuples are immutable. That means you cannot alter wherever you have within the, just like in form of list. And in tuple, you have this sign when it comes to tuple. So close and open brackets when it comes to tuple. And sorry. So when it comes to that, that's how it appears. So I'll give an example here for tuples. And example that I will give, I will do, okay. I deal with me for lunch. I will answer your, I will attend to you in a few minutes. So let's say, for example, I just want to make sure we manage the time and also we're not, distracted. So we have, let's say, for example, we have maths, we have, a mixture of string numbers, integers. So in this case now, let me run this now. Let me do. So let's see what comes. So in this case, 1 second. Sorry, can you give me 1 second, please? Okay, so let's continue. So now you see this tuple now, there is nothing like you want to append to it. You cannot append to this. The only way you can append to a tuple is you have to convert it to list, then you append, you can delete, you can do all sorts of things within that tuple and then return it back to tuple. So for example, we have these tuples now. Now we have tuple 1, this variable name that I'm using for that. So let's say, for example, I want to convert this to a list now. So I can say I want to convert this to a list. Let me use 1 because we've been using list 1. So I want to convert this. So I can use list, then I will wrap the list up, put that to 1 inside there. And if I do that, I'll be able to convert it to a list. Underscore 11. And here, can you see it's converted to a list? You see the open and close bracket now is now a square bracket. So we have been able to convert this. So why we convert this one to a list now? So we can play around, we can do whatever we want to do within that particular list, appending, deleting, sorting, and all sorts of things within that list. Then we can now, after doing that, we can convert it back to what? Tuple. Let's say, for example, I want to append let's say English to tuple now, to list. Can you see it's a list? So I can now go further and do tuple, then do lists underscore 1. Then can you see what I've appended is now appearing? But why is in tuple you cannot append anything into that particular, the elements, include any other elements until you convert it to lists. Then after converting it to lists, then you can now convert it back to tuple so that you can include the new elements you have added. And that's why when in an interview section, they can ask you what's the difference between tuples and lists. They are similar, but what makes it different is that one is immutable and one is mutable. Immutable means you cannot amend wherever you have there, while mutable one means you can change, you can delete, you can sort. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
And there's another thing you can, you can also select. You can use your slicing, use slicing within tuple, that's fine. You can iterate over the elements that we have in tuple. You can also, like I said, you cannot delete because it's immutable. You cannot delete them. You cannot append. You cannot do that. But you can select by, like for example, by index. You can do that just like we did in list, or when we are doing the list aspects. So for, let me call this one now, tuple 1 equals to this. This is tuple 1 now. This tuple 1 we can decide to like have access to elements that we have there. So I can decide to do 0, and that should give me something. Can you see? So we grab in the first element, which is what? Physics from the tuple. Am I making sense? Let me click here so that you can see. You can see the detail there. Because here we've appended 2000 English there. So this is the arrangement. So I'm going to grabbing the first element there, which is what in that tuple. Then the first element is physics. Second element is what? 15. That's, oh, sorry. What am I doing? 1, rather. 1, sorry. So we have third one, which is 2, index 2. That's how it works. So you can select, you can use index to pick whatever element that we have there in the tuple, but you cannot append to it until you convert it to list. After you convert it to list, then you can append, you can delete, you can do all sorts of things, and then you can now turn it to tuple after you have appended. Adewumi Folonsho, are you still asking questions?
Yes, I just want to ask in terms of their functionality, this Python and SQL, are they related or are they similar in terms of their ETL functionalities? Because I've worked on SQL before. This is my first time I'll be working on Python, but some of these things we are doing, I'm just trying to relate it to what I know on SQL, and they look similar in terms of the functionality. I just want to know, do they perform the same ETL functionality?
When it comes to ETL, for extracting, transforming, and loading data, SQL can be used for ETL. You can use it for ELT. One thing about Python is that it makes things, ETL more easier. There are some things you cannot do within using SQL that you have to undo with Python before doing other transformation. For example, you can easily join data. You can, with SQL, you can do that, do joining of data. You can filter, timestamp and stuff, which is good, which is part of ETL, transformation of data. But in some cases, there's some data that are very complex, such that you have to, within, while you are automating pipeline, you have to ensure that you extract them and you write a complex code. Number one, you don't want to write a very huge amount of code when it comes to transformation. But when in the area of Python, it helps you to streamline the number of code, increase the efficiency of the code itself, and it will help you to write a lot of like for loop, conditional statements, iterating, grabbing files at the same time you are transforming. So Python helps you to do more. SQL does more, good, but when it comes to ETL, you have to know when Python comes in, and you have to know when you have to apply SQL. So in some cases, you have a situation where you have to apply Python to transform your data, and when they are well structured, maybe you want to do more of a bit of transformation within your data, like you're doing some complex calculation and stuff. You can use SQL to handle that within your data. So you can use both for ETL But when it comes to effectiveness and dealing with complex transformation, Python can handle it better. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you've answered, but I'll ask more later. Let's continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how it works. For example, look at this situation now. I'm grabbing the file name. I'm very, very sure you cannot do that within, you can't do that directly with SQL. For example, a file is coming, you're reading the file. As you're reading the file, don't forget SQL data is already available. You are just extracting the data from the source, and you are reading the table. Am I making sense? But in this case, data is coming directly. You know the file name. You extract whatever you want to extract. You transform it and you put it in your data frame. And you extract it, you load it in CSV that you now need to now start using SQL on. Does that make sense? You see how it applies now. So when the file is coming in, you want to grab something within that file that you need for your ETL. But SQL cannot do it. So Python will help you to grab the file name, like I showed you. I showed an example, and add those details on the file that you're generating. Then from there, you can now start handling the rest using SQL. Okay. So I've explained tuple. I've explained, you cannot delete from tuple. You can only delete from list. So if you want to deal with your tuple, you have to convert it to list. Then when it gets to list, transform and delete, append, whatever you want to do, then you take it back to tuple. So now I've showed you how to grab index, elements in a tuple using index number that I've already explained in the beginning. Then we have something called dictionary. So dictionary goes with key and value. 1 second, so I'm trying to delete this. Okay, good, brilliant. So we have dictionary. So dictionary goes with key and value. And I will explain just in a basic way how to, key and value. For example, we have our data here. This is our column name, and this is the values that we have there in rows. Key and value. This is how we explain. So it gives you an idea of what do we mean by key, what do we mean by value. So we have key and we have value. Key and value depends on what you're dealing with. Because in some cases, if you are working with AWS environment and you're dealing with that's another level. That's after you understand what is going on here. So you'll be hearing something like key. So just for you to differentiate between them. So in this case, key is like you're dealing with the column of the data, and value is what we have inside the data itself. These are the columns, and we have the rows that we have there. So let's go back here. We have dictionary. So in terms of key and value, so I will do key and value. So key in the way I explain is like you're talking about the column, and the value is what we have, the content. What we have within the file itself, the data. So let's go to the next one. So I will give an example of how it appears, when it comes to key and value. So here, sorry. So you have, when it comes to key and value, you always have this sign around its brackets. Can you see? So this is how it appears. Key and value. Key and value. So you have the key and value, and an example is, let me use this as an example. Let's say we have Jack. We have 4098. This is the value. Key, column, value. Key, value. We have 413. 39. So this is key and value. So now this is a dictionary. So let me check. Okay. So there's a mistake. So I'll check that. I don't know. Maybe I'm the one. Okay, it depends on your approach, but anyway, so that's tell. So we have tell here. So we want to grab, let's say we want to grab a value using a key. Okay, so we're using a key. Let's say we have tell. We want to grab, let's say for the tell, we have okay, let's say we want to, okay, I want to use a different way to explain this. Okay, for example, let's say we have, this is our tell. Oh, sorry, tell. So this is our tell. Let's say we want to add another value inside this dictionary. How do we handle that? Let's say tell. Let's say we have Jack, Sarah. Let me say I want to do Daniel. I want to add Daniel to the dictionary. This is the key. So we are grabbing the key, which is this, and equals to, let me say I want to add 4,000 there. If I run tell again, would have gotten this there. So now, there is a way we can access whatever we have here. But I will introduce it a little, then when we get to that section, I will explain. So, for example, let's say we want to, okay, 1 second still. So now, if you see an example here, I try to grab the key here. The key is Jack. So I put Jack here as the key, and I want to get the value. The value is 4098. If I put Sarah here, it's going to give me this. So it's going to give me this. So let's do something interesting, just basic here. So I've shown how to add a value to, to dictionary and the key, including the key. So let's say, for example, we have for hi, v in tell dot items prints. Okay, sorry, I will explain this just to, can you see? What I'm trying to explain here is that I'm using a for loop, going through the dictionary. This is Jack, this is Sarah, this is Daniel, this is the value. This is value for Sarah, that's value for Daniel. So what I'm trying to do here is that for key and value. So I will use K here for K and value. So I can decide to use for key and value, but I don't want to use, because key is a function. So we have key and value for K, V in tel.items. So tel.items helps you to go through a dictionary to grab the key. So for key, K and V, that's K, like I explained from the beginning, K and V, key and value in tel, which is this, the variable name that we're using, dot items, print K. So if we run this one, we see Jack, we have Sarah, we have Daniel. Then we can go further. Let's say we want to choose a specific one. Say if, that's the condition about, I think I will not explain this. So let me just explain now. We can decide to do so in this case, I decided to just separate the key and the value. So I put K here, I put the value here. So I can decide to do this sign in between. So if I run it, so I'm trying to grab the key, which is Jack, including the value, which is this. So I'm separating them. So I can also decide to just grab the V only. So for the V, it's going to list the amounts only. So that's the transformation. Sorry, excuse me. So now we understand what key and value. So when it comes to transformation, when you are dealing with a dictionary, you will use more of tel items, dot items more when it comes to getting access to what we have within dictionary, especially your data. Then we can also get, the keys. 1 second. So I've shown you the keys, the key and the value. So here we can also get from our tel, we can delete, we can list, the keys within that. So if we want to list the keys, let's say, which is the tel now, we can apply list to that. I can do print this, and let's see what we have. Can you see? It's going to print all the keys, which is Jack, Sarah, and what? Daniel. So that's how it works. And we can decide to sort also. If you want, you can sort your you can sort your list, you can add, you can also create like a dictionaries directly if you want, so that's how it works. Chizoba Ibukwe, your question, please.
Okay, sorry. The print off the F, what does it mean here?
Which one?
And if to get the
Oh,
value.
this is the for loop. I will cover that. I just decided to introduce it a little bit. So when we get to this section, we cover the meaning. But I'm trying to ensure that I explain what we mean by key and value. I explained Jack is the key here. Value is what? This. Key here is Sarah. Value is this. So I try to loop through to tell you how you can grab it. Key. If I put this one key now, it will grab everything key. Jack, Sarah that I just explained. Value, if I put KV here, you'll be able to grab values. Did I explain? Is it okay?
But does this word F, what's the meaning?
Oh, yes. The idea of F is to help you convert it to string. That's why you see F and you put inverted comma there in order to help you to convert it and grab it in string. Does that make sense?
Okay, it's like formats to format it.
Yeah, formatting. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Very, very brilliant. Yeah, that's fine. Chizoba. Okay, Chizoba is gone. Okay, that's fine. You just asked questions. Sorry. So,
Okay.
so that's it. And you know, so when we get to the conditional statement, we'll cover that. So I will quickly explain the last one and maybe give an example, and we wrap up this section. Then we have a quick break. Then we continue from there. So we have something called, okay, Joyce.
Yes, sir. I'm just wondering, TEL, is it an acronym or you just used it?
It's just a variable name. Why?
Variable name. Okay.
Yeah, if you remember, I just use a variable name here. I can use it. I can use your name here as Joyce. I can put Joyce here, and I'll run the code, and it's still going to work.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I'm going to talk about sets now. So sets, we normally use, what we, in dictionary, we have this. In sets, we also have the same thing in sets. But what makes sets different is that a set is like, it's not key and value. So you just have the elements in the list in sets. Sets is very, very interesting. You know what makes it interesting is that let's say, for example, you have a set, you have a list, and you have duplicated elements in that list. Let's say Sarah appears like 3-4 times in that list, or Jack. You want to make sure that you only grab just a unique element in the list. You can use a set to streamline that. That's one good thing about sets. So, for example, I want a unique value in a list. Let's say I have a list _1 _ oh, okay, let me check my list _ what did I use the other time? I think I used list 2. Brilliant. Yes, I'm going to use list 2. So let's say list 2, we have apple appearing twice. So for sets, this is list 2. So for sets, you see this is a list. So for sets, you can use sets to remove apple from this. Hello? Hello? So you can use apple. You can remove apple from here. So let's use our set. So list 2 _ 2. Let's run it. If you see from here, you will see apple. One of the apples are gone. One of them is gone. One of them, the apple, one is gone. So we have one left. So one of them is gone. We have banana only once. Let's say, for example, I decide to do append pineapple here. Let me append pineapple here. And oh, sorry, append. Oh, sorry, I said pine. So let's say append orange. Let me use this one, orange. Let me run this one now. Append orange. If I go to the list here, list 2, orange should be there, list _ 2. If I run it, orange will be there. So orange is repeated twice. But when I apply set to it, it will take only one orange, one apple, and it will not repeat it. So here, you can now decide to do convert this one to list sets into list underscore 2. So you have taken this one back to your list now. Can you see? It turns to list and there is no duplicate in that particular data. So you could be asked a question like, how do you remove a duplicate from a list in an interview section? How do you remove a duplicate from a list? Let's say, for example, we have a list and we have multiple multiple elements, repeated. How do you remove that? You apply set to it, to that list, and you can take it back to list. So you convert it to sets and you convert it back to list, and the duplicate is gone. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Brilliant. So now you can also use, you can look through whatever you have in sets. So do we have any questions so far? Any question?
Yes, please. Let's say you want to remove maybe 2 apples together.
I didn't get you.
If you want to remove 2 apples together, how do you apply it in the set?
No, you've already removed. No, you can't remove 2 apples together in a set. All you just have to do is that when you convert it from the way it appears here, you convert it from what's it called? You convert it from here, take it back to sets, you drop down one, then you can, from the list that you have, you can just drop apple, the next one, and it's gone.
Okay, so you have to follow 2 steps.
Yeah, you have to follow 2 steps because set is just helping you to remove the duplicates.
Okay.
You understand what I mean? Yeah, the duplicates. So in that list, you can decide now to drop maybe apple that you are not interested in. You delete it. Does that make sense?
Thank you. It does. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ken?
So set has the same parentheses with tuple, isn't it?
No, it asks with dictionary. Can you see? But the only thing that makes it different.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. In terms of element, the arrangement, in terms of list, they are there. But in terms of this, it looks similar to dictionary, but it's not key and value. It's just only the element, the key.
The key, okay.
Yeah, the keys, yeah. So, Dorcas, you have a question?
Please, you've not.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. You only explained to us how to append, but how to delete any element in a list. There's no example of that.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so I'll go back to deleting elements in a list. So when it comes to the deleting of elements in a list, we have this. Let's say this is our list. I'll call it Dorcas list. I think you asked the question. Dorcas lists. So I'm using variable name. So this one is now a list. So if we run Dorcas now. Oh, sorry. Did I spell your name correctly? I didn't make a mistake. Okay, list. So let's say we want to delete an element here now. So I can use del. In that list, let's say I want to delete element 1. So I can run this. And when I go here, I will run Dorcas underscore lists. And let's see what we have. Is it gone? Does that make sense now? I think
Yes,
it's
sir.
gone.
Orange has been removed here.
Yeah, it's been removed. Thank you. So that's how you can, delete elements in a list. So I've shown you that example. I think so that's it. We're going to have just a quick break, and we'll come back by, I think, 2 o'clock. Ken, do you have a question? We have 2 minutes to ask question.
I do. Thank you so very much, sir.
You're welcome.
When you use set, does it only display the distinct items in the list, or it also takes that particular item off the database from the back end?
Mm, Sorry,
The question is, if in your file,
yeah,
you've got the item repeated more than once.
yeah.
So when you set, does the set only apply to the print, that is the display you have, or it also takes it off from the original data you're working with?
It depends on what you want to do. For example, if you want to, how will I say now? You have your data already. You know what you want to achieve, and that's why I said the logical thinking comes in. You have to know, do you want to eliminate this duplicate from your data? So if you are considering eliminating duplicate, or for example, maybe you need that set to be able to do for loop and check if any data is related to, to this particular element in the list, so that you can grab that. It depends on ways you want to, extract data. So that's why set comes in. For example, you have data, you have a large amount of data now. A large amount of data in your database we have Apple repeated 1 billion times. So when you are grabbing the list, you have done for loop and you've been able to extract the elements in that list, and they are repeated maybe 10,000 times. All you just want to do is that you know the specific, maybe you are interested in grabbing anything related to apple or banana. All you just do is you convert it back to, oh, sorry, or you're interested in, let me give it, good. Dorcas says something the other time, said deleting, deleting an element in the list. So, in this list, I deleted, it should be apple because it starts with A. Let's say, for example, you are interested in all this in your data, but you are not interested, you want to eliminate anything related to apple in your data. You drop apple. When you drop apple, then you can now do for loop and compare whatever you have in your list to what is coming from your database. And say, okay, I don't want anything related to apple, eliminate it completely. As data is coming, just eliminate anything apple after you've already deleted apple from the list. Does that make sense? So in this case, you can decide to do for I in Dorcas. I don't want to make it complex. Dorcas, print I. Okay. Oh, sorry, print I, sorry. Can you see? So here you can iterate further to say if, you understand, if I is in where you are loading data from. Am I making sense? If anything like this is there, I need to grab it and create it, you understand, and add it and append it. So sometimes it depends on what you are dealing with. I don't know if I'm making sense. Did I make that clear? So the idea, they are mostly like the example I'm giving, maybe you might have other ways of approaching this. But in this example, you're trying to grab a particular, you have some details. Let's say, for example, you have, you're dealing with data with, Heathrow Airport, Heathrow Terminal 1, Terminal 2, Terminal 3, and you've been given very huge amount of data that shows Terminal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in the data, you want to make sure that, okay, and your supervisor tells you that, okay, come, I don't want any information related to Heathrow Terminal 1, Terminal 2. Maybe it's repeated. So you can create a list, delete Terminal 1, Terminal 2 from that particular, like for this example. Then you are left with Terminal 3, 4, 5. So as a list, you can look through it and check the whole data where it's stored and check anything related to Terminal 2, and that's what you need from the whole data. So it helps you to do filtering of data. Does that make sense?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yeah, it depends on the approach. It's just logical reason. That's why I said when it comes to data engineering, it requires like you can be rational sometimes. You just think logically. How do you want to approach this? So I'm just giving one way. You might have your own way. Like for example, we might be working together, and I can decide to transform my data this way and get this result. And you can do something different, and you still get the same results. But the most important in when it comes to data engineering is ensuring you improve your code. I can write a code now, and the code will be doing the same work, and I'll be thinking about how can I improve this code. Number one, how do you improve performance? Performance in the sense that maybe it takes 1 minute for the code to generate the data. I want to make sure I reduce it to 2 seconds. So I can decide to modify my code in such a way that it will reduce the time, the run time. Okay. Yeah, so thank you everyone. We're going to have like 10 minutes break. We'll come back. Let's take 15 minutes break. We'll come back like 10 minutes past 2. So for the sorting in descending order, you will use something called, if you see here, you see reverse here, key, non-reverse. So we can, use this. We can use reverse here. So you can use reverse here. And it's telling you, if you see from here, sort listing ascending order, this. It's giving more information on what to do. So reverse equals to, let me use true here. And if we do that, we can reverse. And Dorcas list now, we turn to this. Can you see the reverse? Let me see. Sort by reverse. Okay, let me see. Is it correct? I'm expecting it to be.
Yes.
Is something
Yes,
not...
Yes, it's correct.
yes, it does.
It's reverse from the.
Oh,
From ascending to descending.
yes, thank you. From the alphabet. Yes, so it's correct. Now you see, it's from the like for example, A to B, A to Z, Z to A. So it's correct. So pineapple, mango, kiwi. So that's the reverse. So so you applied reverse. So when you click on this function sort, so sort as reverse equals to true. So you apply that. And if you say reverse equals to false, should work also. It should take it back to the normal one. So you should take it back to Apple because you said it's false. So you don't want the reverse to be true. So if you put true now to go back. So that's that. So the next section here.
So that's a quick one. So basically, while we could do ascending on list, we could only do descending on sort. Is that correct?
We can do ascending and descending on the list. And this is the descending for list.
Okay, because we did not do the descending for list.
Yes, if we do descending for list, we can do first. Yeah, that is sorry. If we do descending, it's true because it's reversing it. Normally, if we take this out, it will sort naturally by ascending. So if we revert it, put true there, it's going to take it by descending. I don't know. So sorting is ascending, is either ascending or descending, but by default, it will make it ascending. By default, if you put this word is ascending, it's going to arrange it like this, by A to Z. So, but if we now decide to put reverse there, it's going to make it descending. Did I explain better?
No, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So now, I'm going to go.
Sorry, sir, before you go ahead, it's two Chizoba is talking. Sorry, I'm raising my hands.
No problem. Okay.
Okay, on the delete part of it, can you scroll up a little bit?
Okay.
Right, it's okay. You said delete Dorcas list, and we are targeting the first index using 0, right?
Yes.
Now, if you check up here where you have the set list 2, which we have our table this way, but why deleting? It didn't delete. I was expecting to delete Apple, which is the first one, but it's deleting. I don't know. Another is deleting pineapple, which is at the back.
It's not
Orange, deleted orange.
deleted
No,
orange.
it deleted orange, which
Oh,
is
it
supposed to
says
be the
orange.
index 4, actually.
Okay, let's
Yes,
have a look. Let's
behind
have a
the
look.
zero.
Let's have a look. We are brainstorming here now. Good. Thanks for the observation. Let's see what we have. So Dockers list. Okay, let me change something. Let me put Dockers list 1. So now Dockers list 1 here. Okay, list 1. Let me see. So if we okay, so this it decides to make it like this. So let me do dot sort before we delete them. So sort by okay to Dockers list. Dockers list 1. So let's see. So it has adjusted it, right? So we can now put list 1 more. If you like, for example, when it comes to data, if you discover that it's deleting wrong stuff, just make it ascending. Make it just to grab whoever you want. Am I making sense? So I've taken it now. If we go back to Dockers list 1 now, it's deleting the right one, is it? I think it's
Yes.
deleting.
Yes,
It's
yes, Apple is
correct.
gone.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
apple is gone.
it's gone now. So I will change this to list
Yeah.
1, because we are sorting it by because your expectation is that it should have sorted. I think this was sorted here completely. If I B key element P, good. So we decide to apply the sort here to make it effective so that I can delete apple, and it worked.
But it still deleted banana. Oh, sorry, the second thing, I believe.
Maybe because it's still having it in the memory.
No, you deleted the right one.
The right
Apple.
deleted
Apple is index 0.
maybe I ran it
Banana is also
twice.
You also deleted banana.
I know. Let's see. It's going to delete another one because I ran it several times.
You
If I
ran
do it
it.
again now, it's
Okay,
going to
okay.
delete. You understand? If I do it again now, it's going to delete all of them.
Yes, yes. You keep
Now,
deleting, yeah.
keep deleting, so it's gone,
Yeah.
empty. So you see the idea now. So I will run it again from here. List. Yeah, it's back. So it's going to be normal now. So
Yes.
yeah, so that's it. So let's go to the next part of the class, which is a conditional statements. This is a very, very interesting. I actually love this. There is no way when you're dealing with data engineering, you cannot escape anything conditional statements. You will write a lot of conditional statements if you want to automate things. I think I did a particular task recently because I majorly work currently within AWS environment. And I was doing like building a monitoring tool. Some of you, if you are familiar with that, monitoring tool to ensure that if there is any failure within the pipeline, the data owner will get notified, and they will quickly get it fixed, and all the developers will also get it. So I used a lot of conditional statements to deal with that. And also when it comes to ETL, transformation of data, I can guarantee you will use a lot of conditional statements when it comes to transformation. But it's not something difficult to handle. So let me go to the next one, which is a conditional statement. For example, let's say, I always like to explain conditional statement this way, right? It's either true or false. It's either something is true. Okay. It's either it's false, or when it's true, there's another condition attached to it. And this conditional statement is also applicable when you are dealing with, you always talk about artificial intelligence, machine learning, for example, you apply for credit card, you apply for loan, and everything is automated. They ask your age, your date of birth, your salary, and they ask that. There is something working behind, like a machine learning tool that does the prediction. Some of you, if you have worked with decision tree, random forest and stuff within machine learning, you understand that there is a decision tree that it shows how everything is mapped. That's like a conditional statement to determine if it's either yes, if this is going to be approved or not. So the conditional statement is very important to help you do transformation of data. So for example, you have, let's say today, this is April. We already know that when it's getting to May, it's going to be summer. Maybe it's going to be summertime in UK, to be summer. And you can say, if it's April, then summer equals to true. Good. Otherwise, you understand, it's false. So it's like a condition. For example, you have, I want to use, okay. For example, you are told to give somebody a particular amount of money. And the person, you want to identify the person, and you've already given a code that, okay, if this person comes, the person should say a particular word. It should say maybe SOM. Let's say SOM mentoring. I was like, okay, SOM mentoring. Maybe you have another code again. It's like, okay, if it's SOM mentoring, I expect the person to say maybe 2 other codes. So, sorry, 1 second here. So if let's say, for example, we have SOM mentoring, you want to give somebody, you want to deliver something to somebody, and the person, after the person has reached out to you, you now ask the person the first code, you say School of Mentoring. Then the next one you say, maybe, let's say, Inca. Then let's say the first class, SSIs. Then any other information that you can remember, maybe group name, WhatsApp group. WhatsApp group name, let me say WhatsApp group name. So you can write a conditional statement based on this. You can say, if question 1, maybe you're asking the person the first question. If question 1 is SOM mentoring. SOM mentoring. Then you go to the next level. If again, you see, this question 1, that's what we open room for other questions to check all the conditions. If the person now pass all the conditions, then you can say, okay, oh, congratulations, I'm going to give you this money. If question 1 is SOM mentoring, and if question 2 is Inca, then another condition, if question 3, you see they are on, you see the way I'm aligning it, you see, if it's not coming together like this, that means this question will determine the next question. If anybody fails this, that means you can't ask question further. That means it's going to fail. So the first question, the person has answered the question, say, oh, I'm doing SOM mentoring, question 1. Okay. What's the question 2? This, you mentioned. Question 3, you can say is under that if question 3 is SSIS.
You wrote question 2.
Oh, 3, thank you. Question 3 is SSIS. Now, then that means that, so if question, let me write this one, if question 4 is WhatsApp group name, that means the WhatsApp group, our WhatsApp group name is going to be under what? Under this one. Remember the layer, first layer, second layer, third layer. So if this is correct, that means you ask the person another question. if the person answered this question, you go to the next question. And if this one is answered, then you go to the next question. Otherwise, if the person fails to answer this first question, the person is what? False. Am I making sense? So it's like you go from one stage to the other, another stage. So if this is, oh, sorry. I don't know what's happening here. Okay, okay, good, brilliant. So if this is, question, this is this, then you can say maybe let's say do something, you understand? Or print, yes. I will say yes. If question 1 is wrong, that is the else. I will not explain else now, but let's go through the first one first. So if question 1 is correct, print yes. Then if it's correct, that means you'll be able to proceed to the next question, which is this. Then you print, let's say yes again.
It's a quick question.
Okay.
Does the color coding mean anything?
You know, this is test. I'm working in test environment. Don't bother yourself about this. It's just this is not the coding part. This is the test. If you remember, this is test. So this is code.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm dealing with the test. I'm just explaining in the test environments how it works. So if this is this. If question 2 is this, print yes. If question 3 is this, print this. If question 4 is this. But before you can get to question 2, you must answer question 1. If you don't answer question 1, something will happen. That means you need to jump out. You can't proceed further. That's the conditional. So you set a condition. The first condition is that this person must answer, SOM mentoring, must say SOM mentoring. The second one, when you ask, oh, what's my question 2? And you say, the person will now say, okay, this. Then the third question, SSIS. The fourth question, WhatsApp group name. Maybe is what should I call it? What's our WhatsApp group name now?
Data class.
Data dash SS, that is data dash SS dot dash underscore 17. Can you see? So if the person can answer this question, then it goes further as yes. So the condition there is that this first question must be answered before you can fulfill the second one, before you can go to the third one, before you can go to the fourth one. Does that make sense? So someone was asking one question, I remember in the beginning of the class, as in today, you were asking how to eliminate, how to do, you can use a conditional statement to filter out wherever you don't want. And that's why it's very, very important when it comes to data transformation. So we have this condition of true. So I'm dealing with when a condition is true here. But what about if it is false? A condition can be false. So if it is false, that means you have to do else. There's something called else. Else. Else what? Print. Oh, sorry. Else. This if and else. I've already explained if. I decided to explain if, so that you can understand how it works. So if and else, that means if is true, otherwise it's false. Else, print no. Print no. So if it's no, what happened? That means you are out of asking all the other questions. So because the person has not been able to fulfill the first part, that means otherwise this other part cannot be fulfilled. Until you answer yes here, that you can go to this line. Until you answer yes on the second line, that you can go to the third line. until you answer the question correctly here and you print yes, that you can go to the next line. Otherwise, the person will get stuck. And there's possibility the person can answer the question correctly here, and when it gets to this stage, and the person can fail to answer the question. So you have to put another else statement. That's if, else, no. If, you see they are in line, if, else. So if the person answers that, okay, in Kayen, then it can go to the next stage. Then after getting it, if the person cannot answer the question correctly, what do? You put no, yeah, else, no. That means the person cannot go further to get the money. Am I explaining? Am I making sense?
Yes, sir.
Brilliant.
Yes, sir.
So you can set true, but when you are setting true, you still need to set otherwise if it's false, so that you can opt out from that condition. So for example, if you don't apply for data, let's say when you were filling form, SOM mentoring form, and they ask you, oh, which one are you interested in? You said, oh, project management, this, and everything has been, after the whole process, you now start receiving message. It means you've been filtered out that, okay, if this person is project management, no. If it's if it's data, send message on data. So you can apply for data and they will send message to you that you have to, attend project management course. Only after you've decided on your own that, oh, I think I'm not interested in BA anymore, and you reach out to admin and they change it. But that's the idea. Like, if Ola applies for project management, okay, it's true, then they can proceed further to join WhatsApp group. Otherwise, if he applies for project management, is going to be added to another WhatsApp group. We are not in the same WhatsApp group. Like, we have data, we have project management, we have BA. So that's the condition. You belong to a particular group or WhatsApp group based on your application. And that's the conditional statement. So Dorcas applied for data analyst and engineering training within SOM. Dorcas has been added to data under /SS_17 WhatsApp group. Otherwise, if Dorcas applies for a different course entirely, it is no. That means Dorcas cannot join, data-SS_17 WhatsApp group. That's the condition statement. So conditional statement there. So for else here, if you proceed further, if he says no, that means you can't continue with this. But if it is yes, then the person can proceed further to the last one and say yes. Then here you can now decide that, okay, oh, you have fulfilled all the conditions listed here. I'm going to give you the money you're expected to get. So that is the idea. And I will explain this also in such a way, sometimes we call customer care. Let's say you are using a particular broadband, or you're using in a particular network. You call three network, or I'm not promoting three, but I use three actually. So let's say you're using 3 network in UK, and you have an issue with your maybe your charges, the bill. You actually plan to you now plan to reach out to them. You reach out to them and they say, oh, for billing, press 1. That's the condition. If you click on billing, press 1, you see if from the machine there in the back end, is telling you that as you are pressing 1, there is a code telling the machine that, oh, press if something is 1, move to the next stage. When you click 1, what happened? What happened next is it will direct you to the next stage. Say, oh, for billing, press 1. When you click, okay, oh, this is billing, this. If you want to verify something about failing payment, press 1. If you have overpaid, I'm just giving an example, press 2. Then you go for that, another condition. If you click on 2, there is a program behind the scene that is saying, if this is 2, then move to the next stage. Otherwise, go to 1. Am I making sense, please?
Yes, sir.
Brilliant.
Yes, sir.
So I want to try as much as possible to explain in a layman's, way, like in a basic way that you'll be able to understand. So, and that's why you have in the conditional statement, you have if, else, if, else, if, else. So, and but if you see this arrangement, this is not a proper arrangement when you're writing if else statements. So I will always advise for this particular first one, you take this one to the bottom to go in line with the if there, else here. The way you align them together. So don't put it here, if else, if else. So here can be there is fine. This one is not even fine. So you can put it here also to be in line. It's just arrangements. Don't bother. But the major part you need to understand is how do we do it? So you'll be seeing something like this. Yeah. So if S here, this one goes here also. So you can decide to add this one also here. Oh, sorry. In line with the if. You see, everything is if S. So this one flows with this. This flows with this. This flows with this. So you see in the code, you see it arranged like this, and you'll be wondering that, how did they get this? You understand? So that's the idea. I decided to explain in such a way that you understand how it works, then start arranging it the way it should be when it comes to Python, formatting. So then you see it aligned this way. Does that make sense now?
Yes, sir.
Brilliant, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So I've covered conditional statements. If this is this, yes. Otherwise, if is the other way around, false. So let me just give one example. Let me give an example. So let's say I'd like to use this example. I'm going to use, we're going to input something. Yeah, int the inputs. So input helps you to add a number, just like you're using ATM machine and you're pressing 1. So let's say, please enter number to divide. Okay. So this is dividend. And let me click on the next one. Let me just give this so I'm going to copy it just to buy time. This is not the proper way to do it, but please, apologies for copying. So enter dividend. So let's say we're using this. Oops, sorry. Okay, so now I will go further. I'm sorry. So now I'm going to write just a few line of code, a few lines of code here. We have the divisor. So we have our divisor now. Now, this means, I will explain this, means it's not equal to 0. We want to input a value here. When we had our inputs, we want to make sure that it's a value. It's not empty. It's not 0. So you will see an example in a minute. So we have print. Next, we say print. Then, sorry. Then we can use this as a bracket. division, comma, then use, okay. And now we explain this. So dividend divided by division. Yes, so yes, so if this is this, then we explain how print this. Else, like I explained the other time, we have else. The else you can do print. Because we've set a condition that if it's not equal to 0, so we are now going to say if it's else, that means divisor equals divisor by 0 is not allowed. Okay, so now let's run this particular code, like based on what I've explained the other time. This is like a calculator, you know, like when I doing calculation. So look at this now. This is an input. This is a function that helps us to enter an integer. Remember, it's an integer. So we want to enter integer here, integer. So the first one is dividend. It said, please enter the number to divide. So let's say 3. Let me press 3. It's going to take me to the next one. Then it's saying divisor. So please enter dividend here. So we have 1. Let me put 1 here. Remember, 1. And we've already said divisor must not be equal to 0. So in our case, it's correct. That means we are fulfilling what? What's the condition that we have fulfilled here? Can someone tell me? If
Should not be equal to 0.
Yeah, it should not be equal to 0. So that means we are fulfilling that condition of not equal to 0, because you can see it here. Here, please enter dividend, which is the divisor. So this please enter dividend, so it must not be, you know, divisor must not be equal to 0. So we are using 1. That means what we are expected to get is this condition. And we have to fulfill that. We are fulfilling that condition. Let me run it now. Can you see? 3, dividend 3. This, okay, let me use coding so that it won't look like a subtraction. So let's start again. Let's do 4. Let me put 2. Then can you see dividend 4, divisor 2 that we put here equals to what? Dividend divided by divisor, which is 2.0. That means we are able to get this. But otherwise, what if I now make my divisor to be 0? Because we've already said it should not be equal to 0. So let's do it. 4. Remember, divisor must not be 0. So that means it's going to give us this. So let's put 0. What do you see? Divisor by 0 is not allowed. Because we have failed to fulfill this condition here. So it's going to be otherwise. Am I making sense?
Yes, sir.
Brilliant. Any question?
So please, can you explain the example again, please? It's not that clear.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Let me start from here. Sorry, what's your name again?
Dorcas, sir.
Dorcas, thank you, Dorcas. So Dorcas, I will use Dorcas. Dividend Dorcas, divisor Dorcas. So divisor Dorcas must not be equal to 0. Dividend Dorcas. So now let's do it now. So dividend Dorcas. I decided to use your name so that you can understand what is happening here. Yeah, divisor Dorcas. So like I said, it's just a variable name. So now I will explain what is happening here also. So divisor Dorcas. Dividend Dorcas. So I think it can be a bit confusing. Let me take this off so that you can understand what we're doing. Let me do it like this. Okay. So, okay. Okay. So remember, I've changed it now. So this is input. There is a function called input. So it helps you to input a number, just like you go to ATM machine, say enter your PIN. So when you put your card inside the ATM machine, the next thing you see is that, can you enter your PIN? Putting your card inside ATM machine, there is a code that can read the card. That card has been inserted. If card has been inserted, then move to the next stage. The next stage is that it will ask this question: input this, please input your this. Then if it checks it checks the condition that comes with it to see if your PIN is correct. It checks by going through the database and checking your details. So in this case now, I'm just giving an example, maybe it's a bit complex, but in this case, we have inputs. Please enter the number to divide. Which number do we want to divide? We already know our numerator. We have a denominator, numerator and denominator. So our numerator is the value at the top. Denominator is the bottom one. So numerator, we're thinking about numerator now as a number to divide. Input, so is a number. So we want to make sure we capture that number as an integer. And the reason is we are converting it to integer using int at the back. If I remove the integer and I use input only, it can capture it as string, as if we are reading the data. But we want to make sure we capture it and convert it to integer because we want to do calculation. Calculation requires you converting your data to an integer. So I have to put integer at the back here. Then the denominator, which is the dividend, input it. Is what I said. You're saying 4 divided by 2. Normally, if you press your calculator, and we all know it, 4 divided by 2 is 2. So that means if we input 4 here and we input 2 for the divisor Dorcas, which is this, that's 4 divided by 2 is going to give us 2. So let's run this now. Let's go back. We have 4. Then let's put 2. 2. The answer is 2. The answer is 2. Can you see? I put it here, F, to format that so that we can grab, the value that we're getting from the calculation. So the answer is, then this is division. 4 divided by 2. You see? Look at it. 4. Can you see the result that we had added? The value that we added, and the divisor code is what? 2. That's 4 divided by 2 gives us what? 2. So the result is, when you do the divisor here, 4 divided by 2 is going to give you 2 here, which is this. Which is this, sorry, which is this. The answer, you say I put the answer is this. So let's say we do something different. We are not fulfilled. The condition is that if divisor underscore Dorcas is not equal to 0. And if you see, when we went to input a value, we added what? 2. We used 2. That means 2 is not equal to 0. Does that make sense? If divisor Dorcas is not equal to 0, 2 is not equal to 0, 1 is not equal to 0, only if we put 0 to be equal to what? 0. Even if we put, let's say I put 4 and I put -1, let's see what's going to happen. Can you see it's still giving me value because it's not equal to 0. -1 is not equal to 0. If I put -2, it's not equal to 0. It's just our normal calculator. If you use a calculator on your computer, if I make it 4 divided by 2, that's what this doing. Is the same thing as the calculator that we're using. So we have 4 divided by 2 is this 4. Oh, I can't get, let me see, 4 divided by -2 is okay. I think that one is not correct. I think the calculator. So you understand what is happening. So we are just doing division there. So our division now, we've already set a condition for us to be able to divide this and get the value correctly. Our denominator, which is the dividend, divisor underscore Dorcas, must not be 0. If it's 0, that means it's else. So if it's not equal to 0 here, that means this is the true calculation. Yes, if it's 0, it's negative part, which is else. I explained the other time. Remember, I was explaining else here. Where is it? I was explaining here. If question is this, else, no. If this is this, else, this is the else, no. If this is this, else, no. If this is this, we can put else here too. I think I didn't hide this one. So you can put else here. Say print no. Are you getting it now? So we're trying to fulfill the condition, check the condition that if this is not, if this one is not equal to 0, that's divisor Dorcas, the value that we are going to add. Look at it. The first one is, let's say I'm using 6. Now look at the condition here. The next one is please enter dividend. Dividend is divisor underscore Dorcas. And here we've already said divisor underscore Dorcas must not be equal to 0. So if we put 1, it's not equal to 0. If we put 2, it's not equal to 0. If we put 3, it's not equal to 0. If you put 10, it's not equal to 0. But if we put 0, is this condition, because now we are saying when it's not equal to 0 here, otherwise it's equal to 0 on the other else. So it should print divisor by 0 is not allowed. Should I run it? Let me run it.
Yes, sir, it's okay. You understand.
Is it clear now?
Yes, sir. It's
Brilliant.
clear.
Okay,
Thank you,
good.
sir.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. You're welcome. So that's the condition. It's very, very important when it comes to data transformation. And that was what I was trying to explain in the beginning of the class, that, you know, you need like a logical thinking to analyze how to get data in. Sometimes data, when you're transforming data, is not that straightforward. So I've encountered series of data like that, especially data from Excel file, you know, SLSB file and stuff. So some have got different sheets which you have to look through. Some, they only come with a number, which you have to, like, for example, it could be data in 2023, you could see, like, data can come in form of dates. Sorry, can you try to mute yourself, please? Because you're, okay, thank you. So now, let's go on. So that is the conditional statement. If this is fulfilled, then go to the next stage. Otherwise, don't go to the next stage. Like, for example, for those that normally they work on Saturdays. If I'm working on Saturday today, oh, I won't be able to come. Okay, maybe you know, there's possibility you might be able to come, but the idea is if your work is between 12 to 4, you might say, okay, I won't be able to attend SOM training class. Otherwise, if it's not, then I will be able to attend. You see the condition, that's the idea. Or if I always have a program on Saturday, I won't be able to attend SOM data class. Else, that means if I don't have, then I will be able to attend. You see the two conditions. So that's the idea behind a conditional statement. Now let's move on. Then we have something called nested conditions. Nested condition, which I've already explained. I don't even need to go explain more, because the example that I gave here is a nested conditions. if you understand what I did here, this is a nested condition, a condition under another conditions. A condition under another condition is a nested condition. So I've given an example here, and we can try that. We can try just one example of that. Because I'm trying to ensure that we cover as much as possible, and at the same time we manage the time that we have. So let me do nested condition. Just cover the nested condition. So for nested condition, let's say we're using let me copy this. So nested condition is a condition under another condition. So for example, this is just one condition, but the one I showed here is a nested condition. And I explained that if you want to get something from somebody, you need to answer the first question, answer the second question correctly, answer the third question correctly. And I give an example of telephone call also. If you are reaching out to the network, or you call, troubleshooting some issue. So let me give this example now. Let's say I'm not using Dockers. Let me just say num. We have input. Let me say, please enter an integer. Enter an integer in the range of 0 to 999. So this is the sorry. So 0 to 999, and we want to set a condition like if our norm is greater than 0, because we've already stated here we expect the value to be, you need to enter a value between 0 to 999. But now remember, when you are putting a value, you're going to be having 0 here, but we want to make sure that we eliminate 0 in the first place. So if num is greater than 0, so if the value is greater than 0, go to the next stage, like I explained the other time. Otherwise, now let me do it this way. If it's greater than 0, let's say print num. Else, don't forget this. I explained the other time. Print, that means is less than 0. Else, print not in range. Or let's say, smaller than 0. Don't forget this. If it's greater than 0, it should print this. Else, if it's not greater, if it's less than 0 or equal, meaning can be less than 0 or equal to 0. So anything that is not greater than 0 here, it can be less than 0 or not equal to 0. It can be less than 0 or equal to 0, which covers the else part of the statement. Else. So let's go further. Now, in between here, remember I said it's nested, and I explained the other time. You can go further that, okay, if you have been able to fulfill the condition of num is greater than 0, then you want to check if your value, what you are going to input, is also maybe is less than, because you've already mentioned that it should be 999. You want to set another condition if num is less than 999. You set the condition again. Remember, this one is fulfilling this, and I explained. So if it's less than 999, you can do print in range. Then from there you can just add you can add the value that you are printing, which is the norm. Now, else, that means else means if it is not less than 999, that's else. Then you say print not in range larger than 999. Can you see that? So let's try what we have written now. You see, when I was doing the alignments, if else, they are in line. You see, if else here, if else. So this first one goes with the last one. This other one goes with this. Please don't miss it. It can be a bit tricky. So if you understand this logic, that wherever you see if, this is the other part of it. Wherever you see if here, this is the other part of it. It makes life so easy for you. Because some people struggle. Why is this code like this? Why is it written like this? How do I want to understand how to write? So you understand this if goes with this S. This if at the top goes with this. But we don't want to write it this way. We don't want to write it this way. It doesn't make sense. So it's better you align it properly the way code should be written, like this. And you see, it's free of error. Now let's try what we have written. So the condition we want to see if the condition is true, greater than 0, let's try it. Let's run it. Now, if it's greater than 0, let's put 1. Then we should be expecting something to be printed. So if it's 1, that means, if it's 1, that means 1 is less than what? 999. That means it's correct. Number you should be expecting in range. Number in range number. You should be printing this out. So let's try it. Can you see? In range. So it's printing the print here, which is the 1. I'm coming. Let me do it very well clearly so that you understand. Value inputs is printed. Yeah. So the reason is I just want to print this out just to show that I'm adding a state, and this helps you to actually find if you are having error in your code. So if you put a statement within the code, it helps you to know what is wrong. Here now you can just put this one, wrap it up within your code and put num, and you put the parentheses there around it, and you'll be able to. So let's run it again now. You see, we saw 1 the other time, so I want to make it plain so that we can know what's happening. So 1, can you see? The input is printed here, 1. So that means it's saying if the condition is greater than 0 and 1 is greater than 0, we have fulfilled that condition, and that's why we have print input is printed, input is printed here, input is printed here, 1. Then it goes to the next stage because we have fulfilled this part now is correct. Then it goes to the next condition, which is if num is less than 999. And we can see 1 that we got is less than 999. That means is in range. Let's do otherwise now. Let's do the other way around. Now, if our number is 0, let's see. Remember, when it's 0 is else. Let's see what we're going to get. Not in range, smaller than 0. Can you see? Not in range, smaller than 0. Now, let's see another condition. In this condition, we want to make sure that after we have fulfilled this first condition, we want to make sure we fulfill the second condition. We have number from 0 to 999. What if we input 1,000? Remember, 1,000 is greater than 999, and we've already said it must be less than. So let's see. What is it giving us? Okay. Let me see. Let me see what's happening. 1,000. Can you see? Can you see what is happening now? So it checks for this condition. This condition is fulfilled. It said input is printed here, 1,000. That means we fulfill this part. It moves to the next stage. But at this next stage is saying our num, which is 1,000, must be less than 999. But it's not less than. So if it's not less than, it shows that it goes to else statement, not in range, larger than 999. Does that make sense now?
Yes, sir.
Brilliant. So that's the nested condition when it comes to conditional statement. You see, this way you'll be able to solve a lot of problem when it comes to ETL process when you are transforming your data. I will be giving one more example. Just one more example. So let's do this. Please, if you are lost, let me know, because we don't want anybody to be left out.
Please, sir, I'm lost. Sorry. Please, can you explain this this last one again?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Let me explain this way. Imagine you want to join data class. What do you need? Is that Dorcas, right?
No, it's me. What do you say, sir?
Yeah, imagine you want to join this data class. What do you need for the class? Number one, you have to be registered, right?
Okay.
Now, after being registered, you have to be added to WhatsApp group. If you are lucky, maybe somebody send a link to you, you get a link for the training. Good. But let's say in the situation where you don't have access to link, that means for you to have access to the Zoom link, you need to belong to a WhatsApp group. You need to belong to a group and be added to WhatsApp group. Now, if you are not added to that WhatsApp group, will you be able to join data class?
No.
Sorry, will you be able to join the Zoom?
No.
No. Brilliant. Thank you. You see the condition now. The condition for you to join data class is to have access to the WhatsApp to Zoom link is that you have to first register to SOM for the SOM class. Then after that, you have to be added to WhatsApp group too. And if you are not added to WhatsApp group, you won't be able to get Zoom link. That is the condition. But if you are added to WhatsApp group, you will get Zoom link. Can you see the two? If you are added to WhatsApp group, you will get a link to join the class now. If you are not added to WhatsApp group, you will not get a link. You see the two conditions. So if you are able to fulfill the first one, you'll be able to join the Zoom, join the class on Zoom. But if you are not added to WhatsApp group, you won't be able to get the link. Am I making sense? That is the idea about the condition. Let's say, for example, you manage to register, or should I say, you manage to register and you are not added to WhatsApp group. You know the implication number one, maybe you won't be able to install SSRS and SQL Server and software. Am I making sense? That has been sent to that WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
And you will not even be able to join the Zoom. You see, two different conditions within. So that is the idea behind this. The idea is, let's say, let me give you another example. You go to ATM. Let's say you have your ATM card and you have your maybe you have your ATM, or you have a friend's ATM with you, and you say, okay, I want to go and withdraw money from the ATM. If you put the card inside the ATM, what will the ATM ask you? Input your what? PIN.
PIN.
Imagine you forget to ask that PIN from your friend. Will you be able to withdraw money?
No.
Brilliant. Now, look at it this way. Let's say you mistakenly get that PIN, your friend's PIN. Sorry, I'm just giving the illustration. You mistakenly get that PIN and you decide to just insert the PIN and you get it right. You know, let's say the bank now send message to your friend that, oh, are you trying to withdraw money? If yes, click 0. If no, press 1. You see the condition that is attached to withdrawing the money?
Yes.
So it's like a nested condition. So the condition here is that when this one is greater than 0, what you are putting if you are putting 1, which is greater than 0, 1 is greater than 0, you know, we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1 is greater than 0, 2 is greater than 0, 3 is greater than 0. So it's trying to check if your norm is greater than 0, the number you are going to put. So if 2 is greater than 0, that means this will pass. You'll be able to go through this condition. If you go through this condition, then you go to the next one. You need to fulfill this condition before you fulfill the next condition. Just like you went to ATM, after getting to the ATM machine, you put the PIN and your friend, the bank send a message to your friend that said, are you doing a transaction? Even despite you have told your friend, if your friend says no, you cannot withdraw money. In fact, the next thing they will do is they will just hold your card. Am I making sense?
Yes.
Because you've not been able to fulfill the second condition. So in this case, you can fulfill first condition. And this first condition, let's see if you fulfill the second condition by 2. So you see 2 is greater than 999. That means you have been able to fulfill the second condition also. And if you're able to do that, then your code will run properly, and you will get this in range norm. Am I making sense? Because you've been able to fulfill this. If you're unable to fulfill, that's where the else comes in. So if I run these 2 now, you'll see in range 2, because you've been able to fulfill that condition. So let's say, for example, you've been able to fulfill this condition, but you've not been able to fulfill this. And how do you do that? We expect norm to be less than 999, not 1,000. So if I put 2,000 here, if you see here that our value that we are inputting here is fulfilled because it's greater than 0, which is 2,000. 2,000 is greater than 0. But the next stage of it, we have norm is less than 999. That means 2,000. So if norm is less than if norm is less than 999, that means you fulfill that condition. Otherwise, it's larger. Can you see 2,000 is larger than 999? Am I making sense now?
Yes.
So if we run it now, it will tell you not in range, larger than 999. Let me run it again. 2,000. Can you see? Not in range, larger than 99, because it's bigger. So this condition is not fulfilled for you to go to not else. That is where the else comes in, which is not in range, because 2,000 is what? Is what?
It's larger.
It's larger. It's not within from.
It's
It's not between
999.
1 and 999.
Yeah.
It's outside that those values. Am I making sense now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So let's go on. Now we've been able to cover that. So I will give this example now. We have, let's say, example of Max.
Sir,
Hello?
yeah, another example that came to my mind is, for instance, you have a certain amount in your account and you want to make some withdrawals. Probably you want to withdraw like £1,000 and you haven't got up to £1,000 in your account.
Brilliant.
The condition might be if you're withdrawing more than the amount you have in your account.
Insufficient.
And if you say insufficient fund, and then you're not able to withdraw.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Joyce. Thank you. Is that Joyce? Am I correct?
Yes, yes.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. That is the best example. You see, you can't withdraw more than what you have in your account now. Imagine you have £200 in your account and you want to withdraw 200,000. Will bank allow you? Because there is a condition set that this is the amount you have. It will compare it to what you want to withdraw, and it will tell you insufficient fund. That is Python that is working behind the scene. You see, so that's a typical example of of that. So let's go on with this. I will just explain this. So we have marks, just normal mark, like grade. We can have marks here. So we have a mark. So I can decide to say, okay, I want to make sure that I classify this mark. So here I can say, let me grade. So I can create a grade. So I'm going to create an empty list. This is called empty list. Empty list. And the reason why we have empty list that we want to append, we want to add value into that list. We want to add values into that empty list. So look at this. Remember, I was doing looping the other time. So for let's say mark in max. Oh, sorry, in max. Okay, let me just use max. For max in max, or let me use mark. Let me use mark list so that it won't be as if because I don't. It can be confusing when you're using mark in max, but it makes sense because you're saying one out of all many. So let's say for mark in mark underscore list. So I will print this now. Print mark. Let me print this mark. Can you see our mark here? Max 8375. So we can print it. So now we want to loop this and classify them into the expected grade. So how do we do that? Remember, that's we are looping now. This is not a condition. We are just looping. This is like a for loop. So we're doing for loop and we want to loop through this. So we want to set our condition. So if our mark is greater than, let's say is greater than 75. So it's going through it one after the other. It's checking the one that is greater than 75. Then it's going to append it to that list. Remember, we did append. If you remember, we did append, how to append to list. Remember append? We did append. So don't forget everything that we are doing. I'm also trying to make sure that it's getting more advanced. So as you go on, just refer back to what has been covered before. So it makes things more easier to understand. So we do grade underscore list, which is the empty list. So we want to add to that empty list, append. So we want to create that list. We want to say first class. So we want to say append, that's first class. So here, if I do that, I can do let me run this now. Let me run this. What did you see? You see first class. So what is it checking? It's checking anything that is greater than or equal to 75. This one is greater than equal to 75. This is greater than equal to 75 because it's equal to 75. So it's catching the first two and it's saying they are first class. So let's go further. Let's go further, and there is another condition I didn't explain. There also else is like if, but you can use else if. Else if. You can use else if. You can use else if. You can use else if. It's still the same thing. It's just like you are using your how will I say now? How will I say? Okay, it's like you're using your else statement, but you're putting if together. You're combining them together. So, for example, if this is this, let's say under this our else, there is another condition. You can say else, and you put if together. If, how will I say now? Okay, let me give you an example. You have, if you call MTN, press 1. If you if you make a call, you want to speak to customer care, press 1. If you want to check your billing, press 2. If you go to press 1, which is if, it will take you to the next step. Else, let's say press 2 is your else. press 2 means billing. It doesn't mean that you can't continue from that else. So if it's billing, it can ask you, oh, if when you press 2, press 1 again to know your balance. That means under that else, there is another if statement. So when you are having else, you can have if together. So, and that's where we have, in this case, we have else. We have else if, so we can do else if, else. Can you see? Look, else. Am I making sense? So it's like, sorry,
Yes, sir.
sorry. Let me explain again. I think I made something wrong. So we have if this is greater than this, else you go further, isn't it? Then under this else, you can tell it to do something if it's else. Then you can now go further and say under that else, you can have another if. So if can be, let's say else, if Mark, or let's say we are specific about, let's say if 70 is less than or equal to Mark, and less than 75. I don't know if I'm making sense. If you see what we're doing here, we're trying to make sure that we grab anything within the range of 70, anything 70, anything that is 70 is less than, that's 71, 72, 73, 74, but not including, in this case, is equal to 70. Is less than, 70 is less than or equal to the mark. So that means we are grabbing 70 from here and we are stopping at 74 here. So what we are grabbing in this condition is 70, 71, 72, 73, 74. It's not including 75. So that's the condition. So else, if is this, then let's do grade list, grade underscore list dot append equals to should I say upper, let's say upper second class. Then we can go further. Remember, this is if, this is else if. So here we can combine this together. If instead of having it separately, we can instead of having it separately, we can combine this else statement and if statement together and call it else if. Does that make sense? So else, then you go to the next one, if. So instead, we can decide to say else, if, still the same thing. So while we do that, we can proceed further and we continue with our coding. So here we have a range of 70 to 75. So in this case, we want to do maybe second class now, not upper second class. Let's say it's second class. We can do 60 is greater than or equal to Mark and less than 70. You know it's less than 70 now because here we are capturing anything less than 70, which is 69. Here, 70 is included as upper second class, where here 60 is included as another class. So we can call it grade list dots append, let's say second class. So we go further. So here, what we have left is 50, 59 downward. So let me just, I don't want to copy and paste. Please avoid copying and pasting. Makes life, it helps you to improve in coding. Sorry, 1 second, please. So we can now do if maybe 50, we can do 50 is less than mark greater than 60 now. Then condition is grade underscore list dot append second. So what do we have there? Do we have, I think we have up to 45. So if it's less than or equal to 50, so let's do again. Sorry, I'm going to copy this just to save us time. So less than 40 now. If it's less than 40 and equal to 50, less than 50, it should be what? Let's say is a third. So here we can run this code now. We can run this code, and while we're doing that, we can, now get our grade underscore lists. We can print it out. Print grade. Print grade underscore lists. Let's print it out. Let's see what we have. Can you see? This is our grade. This is our grade. So this is our grade. And at the same time, we can do something very interesting. We can do mark. We can do mark. Just to see how it works. Just to map it together so that we can see. So let's see our results. So it's been appended, but it's showing. Oh, I'm sorry. There's something I have to do there, but anyway. Okay. Yes. So so we have that. So we have this result. I'm coming on seconds. Append. For marking, mark this. Okay. So
I think
we
you're
have.
also supposed to use the S field or something.
Yes, I can decide to do else there. Yeah, I can decide to use. Oh, sorry. I can use else here. Sorry, I don't need else if. So I can do else. Oh, sorry. It's correct. Oh, it's correct. Sorry. So I can use else, like you said. I can use else here. So else, maybe append any other grade. So I can do else, then do grade. So grade underscore lists, then dot append, maybe can do F.
Fill.
Yeah, fill. Yeah. So just do fill here. Else. Any other thing outside what we have here should be fill. So here we can now do our grade lists. And do our grade lists. And run the grade list. We can see it here. So this is the grade list. So under this grade list, I'm coming. You can also do something very interesting. I'm coming. So we have our grade lists. I have an example that I actually show. So I will say, I think what I will do is that I will send something to you so that you can proceed from here. When it comes to, I want you to be able to map. I won't do it in this class. I want you to be able to map the mark to the grade list so that you can see how it's aligned. Does that make sense? So I want you to see from here, you see the way we have it. We have first class for the two. the next one is upper second class because it falls within upper second class, which is 70 equals to 70 and less than 75. Then we have 65, which is second class. 60 is second class. The second class lower is 55, and we have 49.9, which is third class, and 45, which is third class. So that's how
is it df equals pd dot data frame?
Brilliant. So I will advise you to do that and convert it with data frame.
Yeah.
So you convert that with data frame, and I want to see how it's going to appear. If you can actually post it on that platform, it helps you to interact and understand what is happening there. So we've covered that.
Okay, I'll post it.
Yeah, thank you. So that's an example there. Do we have any questions so far? Any question? Any question?
No, please.
Please, if you have any question, don't be shy to ask. From there, you can learn something, okay? You know, here is the class should be very, very interactive. I shouldn't be the one to be teaching. Even if you have idea, just tell me, you know, we can just, you know, go through it shortly together. So,
yes, sir.
So we'll go to the next one. Now, so I've showed you how to use appending, you know, how to append, which we did within the list, conditional
Hello,
statement.
sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
I actually want to be more, I want to be clear or more clear.
Yeah.
I understand we've been doing something on Python.
Yeah.
But here we are on Google Colab. I thought maybe for Python there is one software, one app that you have to be working on separately.
Okay.
So, but I need a further clarification. Is this all Python is?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that question. You see, there is something you need to understand about data. You know, we've been talking about SQL, we've been talking about Python. It's just a code that does transformation. You can use Python to do a lot of things outside data. You see, some people are working as a software developer, they don't know anything about data. Some, you know, but it depends on the way you apply Python. So in, like, for example, we're using Google Colab. Google Colab helps you to understand the main thing about Python, how to use it. So using it, you can now transfer that knowledge to any environment you find yourself. Let's say, for example, now, you find yourself in a company where they use an environment such as AWS. They use AWS Lambda. With the knowledge you have acquired there, you can use it to transform data. All you are doing is just transforming. Platform does not really matter. The most important thing is understanding the basic principle. When you understand all the principles, you'll be fine. It's just understanding what we are doing here. So in terms of the platform, you have platform, you can use Python in Azure environment, you can use it in AWS environment, you can use it in even on-prem. You understand what I mean? So, but the idea is you need to understand how to use it, what you have to do. So the environment does not matter. You can find yourself in a company where they're using different environment, or you just need to, okay, how do you use this environment there? How do I apply my Python that I know?
Okay.
So environment does not matter. But the major thing is understanding what we are doing. For example, okay, we have, I don't want to make it complicated. We have something called.
Sorry, sir. I thought that was what you said last week, that you are taking us through Spark, and Spark using Google Colab to train us on how to use the Python. That through the Google Colab, we'll be able to learn other software that's being used. If I get that right, sir, that you're training us on this platform so that
Yes.
when we are able to, when we get outside this place, we'll be able to know how to use this platform to do other or whatsoever, maybe Python or AWS and all that. Just want to know if that is what last
Yeah,
week. Thank you, sir.
yes, we get to that stage, but the major thing is knowing how to use the code itself. Everything you're doing is the major part of it is code. Knowing the code, not the platform here. I'm just using the platform to write the code. Google Colab is just for you to understand what has to be done. But when you are writing code, you are writing it like this in any platform you find yourself. You know the way we are writing code like this. This is how you will do it also. If that particular problem requires you to do something similar like this. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So this is not the environment you find at work. You know, this is just for educational purpose. And I've used this environment several times at work, especially when it comes to charging. If the platform requires that they will be charging the company, I just use this local environment, run whatever I want to do, get my result, then pick the code back to the environment and get things sorted. So
Sir, I posted it on the chat if you want to try it, if it's going to work on the Zoom chat.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. So, but I want I will frame just a question so that you can get that one in form of pandas data frame. So now we touched this in the last SOM section. We converted it to panda data frame, but I don't want to do it this way. I want you to try it. So try it how it works. Convert it to pandas data frame. Try it, use any method you want. I just want to see result, how you can combine the mark with the grade list. Combine this mark with the grade list. So let's go on. We have another part that I'll be covering, which is loop and iteration. We've already covered part of it, so it's not really new. We have loop and iteration. So loop and iterations, we've covered a lot about loop already. I've used for, wherever. And so for loop and iteration, so you use for statement to iterate over a sequence of values. So if you have some, element in the list, you can use for loop. And we've shown it here. I've shown the loop here. You see this example of loop, which I showed. And we have all this listed. If I'm making sense. So that's the loop and iteration. Loop and iteration. So so for loop and iteration now, let me just give an example. We have for hi, let me give an example for hi in our list. Let me use Ade, Dockers, we have like to use, okay, we have Adamu, Adetola, and we have Adetola. Let me use this. So this is, we've done this already. So it's like you're running this and you loop, oops, sorry. It's a mistake somewhere. Why did I make mistake? Okay. Interesting. Syntax error, colon.
Is there a space between Dorcas and Adam after that comma?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. And no, Dorcas as well. After the commas and Adam.
Okay, you know what? Let's do it this way.
There should be colon at the end.
Oh, yes. Oh, my word. Look at me.
Yeah.
That's true. Thank you. I was wondering now, what is happening? Okay, that should be colon. Yeah, look at me. So now let's go on. Correct. Thank you for that. So we have print. Let's say we want to print what we have there. Yeah. So for hi in Ade Dorcas, that's elements in the list. For high in that list. So we want to we want to print them out. We've already done, I think we've done like, we've treated like different examples today. So my name is, let me use, my name is hi. So let's print this out. Can you see? My name is Ade. My name is Dorcas. My name is Adamu. My name is Ade Tola. And that's it. You remember the function the other time too that I did. I used this F. This is still the same too. Don't forget, you can represent this in different ways. You can do this. Can you see? It's still the same thing. My name is still listing. So you can revert back to, you can use any method to do that, but I actually like to use that formatting. So we have this. So in this case now, if you can do print out of loop. So if it's not within that space, out of loop. If what you are printing is not within that, you put out of loop. So anything that is not printed there, so it's going to list it. And when you get to the final part of it, if after doing high and there is nothing in the list, it will print out of loop. Does that make sense? So it's that you are opting out. You've completed this, and now the process is done, and this particular statement will be printed. So that's for loop. For loop is just using your for, and you're using to iterate to loop through wherever we have in the list. And I also showed you another example of for loop, how to loop through a dictionary. You know, this is a list. I showed you the example with dictionary the other time, why we are doing what is it called? Let me go back here so that you can remember. Are they where we were doing this dictionary, this, remember? So when we're doing this is a dictionary, and I explained. So in terms of dictionary, we have this. We have, let's see, 1112, 1110, Dorcas, 2345. This 1290. And we have this 3456. So use this. So we want to, let's say, for example, we can do for, that's for loop for K, but in this case, remember, it's, so let's say key name date. I will say date equals to this. So in this name date, I can do for K, remember, V in name underscore date dot items print K. So I can decide to say print K. Oh, sorry. Print K and V. Oops. V. And you see, Ade and this, Dorcas and this, Adamu and this. So that's the for loop. You see, you apply it to dictionary, and we apply it to a list here. Does that make sense? So, and another thing that we do in is good. Now I'm happy that I'm bringing this. So Okay. There's something called, I think I didn't mention this, please. I will also explain. So, for example, we have Ade here. Okay. Let's say, for example, we have Ade here. Or should I say Ade? Let me take off. Let me take off this. Oh, sorry. Let me take off this just to print. Okay. Okay. So okay. So you see what I'm doing here now? This is another transformation entirely. You know what I just did? I'm coming. This. This. So listing everything that we have here and the lengths. This is a transformation. The meaning is that, look at Ade. Ade is how many 3 letters word, right? It's printing the numbers, right? I'm using lengths. So you can do a lot of things within for loop. You can do a lot. In fact, most of the time you'll be doing something like this. Lengths. Lengths is very, very important. You'll be using this one, especially when you are reading data, because the idea is when you are reading the data, let's say you have your data, you're reading your data, you want to check your data frame you want to check if the length of your data, the meaning of the length of your data is greater than 0. The length means that when your data is coming in, you want to check if it's not empty. If it's not empty, then you can start. If it's empty, then you say, oh, data is not available. You see the conditional statement. This how all this stuff comes in. Ismail, yeah, you're raising up your hand. Ismail?
Yeah, I think I've been raising my hands up quite a while. Oh,
Oh,
it was
okay.
just about the
Oh, sorry. Sorry, can you unmute yourself, please?
yeah, it was just regarding the conditional statement. I just want to ask if if you're writing a conditional statement, especially the one we did earlier regarding maybe you trying to borrow money or something like that. So do we have to list the conditional statement first before the else statement, or you can do the conditional then the else, conditional
No,
the
conditional
else.
and else, they are all conditional statement now. It
Okay, yeah,
depends
what
on.
I'm saying is, can you do that? You do that the if first, all the ifs first, then the else, all the else next. Or you can do first if, then else, if, else.
I think I showed an example here. If you see what I did there, if, else, if, else, if, else, if. It depends on the condition you are writing. It depends on, like I said, I explained. I said
I'm
it
talking about, yeah,
depends.
this one here, yeah, okay.
This case is different. If you see it's if, else. This condition is different from this condition. I don't know if I'm making sense. They are completely different. This
Okay, I think I
condition
get it now.
is,
Yeah.
you see the difference. You're spotting it now. This one is a condition. This is the first condition. This is the second condition. And there is no other condition under it. I don't know if I'm making sense. You say it's not a condition under condition. In this case, this is a condition under condition. This is a condition, and there is another condition. See, it's not lined. You see how it's lined? It's different from that other one. So it's on this another condition under. So in this case, we can have another condition under this one if we have to. So it depends on, see, that's why I said the logical reasoning is very, very important when it comes to data transformation. You have to understand how to approach your data. In some situations, you might have more nested condition. You understand?
Yes, thank
And
you.
you're welcome. So, but I just want to make sure I familiarize you with how all these key values, all the stuff, how it works. So I'll be doing one more example. I think time is gone. Our time is fast spent. Just to, okay, do I have time to, okay, let me just see if I can cover. Okay, let's see this example. Then we'll I think we can stop here, right? And continue next week. Do you have any question? Let's just give time for question. Let's stop here.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, I want to ask the numbers. How did you arrive at those figures, those numbers in front of the names? Are they Dorcas, Adam, and Adetola?
I created
I
it
don't know how
myself.
you arrive at those
No,
figures.
I just created myself. You know, we are giving an example. So
Okay.
you can create your own, you can do your own and see how it works. You just run your code, see what is happening. So the major part of the manipulation is this for loop. You know, I was explaining for loop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other question?
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. I just have a question. Like everything you've done here today, and you want to come back to it maybe much later. Do you save it, or if you leave it as it is it going to save on its own automatically, or what do you do?
You mean here in this environment?
In this Google Colab, you've done a lot of work on this Google Colab today now, for instance, and you want to come back to this work maybe sometime much later.
Yeah, I can do it.
What do you do?
Yeah, just go here, save.
Save. Okay.
Yeah.
Go
Save
on file and
successfully.
save.
And I can decide to download it also or print it. I want to print it here. This is it.
Okay.
Google Colab conditional formatting, and my file is, that's it.
So, but if you don't print it and if you save, where can you locate it? On the Google Colab or on
If you save
local
it,
machine? Yes.
you have it in your download. This is it.
Download.
This is what we just did. So I can even forward it to you if you want.
Okay.
So see, everything
Yeah,
that we
that's
did
fine.
now, you see, this is there. Everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. So, and following on with the questions, sir, is it possible for us to call it up again on Google Colab?
Oh,
Let's say you
yes.
want to add more information to it. Can we call up the same file?
Yes.
To
Let me show you. Let me show you now. You know, I've saved it now. So let's say I have this here. Oops, let me see. Okay, this here. So let's say I want to call it. You can just go to open notebook. Let's see if I have conditional statement there. I can see conditional statements. Do you have it? Let me see. Can you see? Then you open it here. That's it. It's there. Just go to File, Open Notebook. Then it would have been saved. So you just open what you have saved. If you want to create a new one, just create new notebook, and you start writing. Start using that one for your code.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.